Good morning and happy Thursday. Welcome to New Streaming Network, home of Going Solo, Going Bold, WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. Welcome to Your Health Vibes with Elana. And I'm your host, Elana, with Your Health Vibes with Elana. What do you know? My journey is to raise your heart, body, and soul vibes to the next level so you can transform your life today. And today, our topic is Soulful Connections, the power of true friendship. And with our guest, the one, the only Morris. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
So happy for you to be here. I always love to start off with my guest kind of telling about themselves because I always think someone can explain themselves better. And I want the world to know who you are, Morris. So come on down.
Absolutely. I am a Southern California resident. I've been playing the oboe. That's one of my main passions in life is classical music. So I've been playing the oboe now for about 25 years. I actually played the oboe in the Army Reserves for 16 years until I became a drill sergeant a few years back. And for my civilian life, because I'm in the Army Reserves, I do some leadership coaching, training, and development. I got trained on the John C. Maxwell leadership team. I'm certified in DISC, and I'm certified in the six types of working genius. And I have a
Woo!
big passion for Strengths Finder. So, some of my passions outside of music and my business, I love escape rooms. I do enjoy quite a bit of reading and anything that is like outdoors, let's go hike, or something fun like roller skating or something like that. So, that's me.
Yes, roller skating, bring it back.
Yes.
Oh, yay. So I'm so happy for you to be here. And I just want to kind of start off to let the, audience know we met really organically and just super cool. So we're part of a Facebook group, podcasters, and Morris had put a post out and I replied and you never know what you're going to get back or someone and he replied back and we had just kind of a preview call and it was amazing. And so then we were able to connect. And then I was actually just recently on his podcast and we killed it. And I just wanted the world to know what Morris was about in this topic. Soulful connections, the power of true friendship is a really big thing. Friendship is a really big thing to me, and I know to you. So I'm so glad that we are here together to have that conversation.
Yes, yes.
So, just like to kind of start off organically, growing up and certain things and starting your first friends and then do you have any recollection kind of like a first friend encounter or, going to school or making a friend, sometimes it's scary in those environments. Do you have a memory of your first kind of encounter of a friendship or something cool of that interaction?
Yeah, I'm thinking because my parents were in the military. So my dad and then my stepmom was in the military. And so we had to move around a lot. And
Yeah.
making friends was something hard. And you're traveling every 3 years, so you don't get to always experience the same friends. So I remember this guy when I was when my dad was stationed in Fort Hood, Texas.
Mhm.
We bonded really tightly and like we did everything together. So we like our parents knew each other just because we were friends, and we would walk to school together. We would play like whatever he was into, if it was like some anime or cartoon or something. I would watch the same thing, or we play video games together. So I definitely remember those early stages of life just bonding in that way. And he's somebody that I have on social media. We don't really connect as much these days, but like I will always remember him just because of that early stage of development and how close we were, even though we only got a few years together.
Oh, I love that, just having that first memory and the connection and the bond to, see like someone, with that, it's not family, sometimes with family or certain things, this is something that you got to create yourself, which I think is so
Yes.
cool. Um,
Yes.
so with that, talking about friendships and things, what does friendship mean to you?
I love the definition that friendship is the family you choose because I have siblings, right? I have six siblings, and we're all very close.
Right,
I talk to my brothers and sisters, and I actually go visit them on a regular basis. That bond that I have with them is undeniable. But
right.
the bond that I have with my friends sometimes is so vast feeling and such like a warm space in my life that it, it's uncomparable, and it doesn't I don't want to diminish the relationship I have with my siblings at all, but
Totally.
there's definitely something so special about these special friends in my life that I have chosen and match me perfect, like like we fit together like puzzle pieces.
Ooh, I like that. I really like that. Do you want to maybe expand on that? Different friends and like puzzle pieces. Like, do you have different friends that that are just a friend? Or we kind of talked about this the other day, acquaintances. And how do you do categories like friends, acquaintances, certain things, and different levels of friendship and what it is? I think that was so powerful.
Yes. Okay. So I am big on making sure I use the proper language is what I would call it,
Right.
because I want if I call you a friend, I want you to understand what that designation means, and I want it to be real. So I'm not an everyone is my friend type guy. I'm very much okay, we can be acquaintances, and that doesn't mean that I don't care about you. It doesn't mean that you're not on my inner circle, you're not in with me, because you don't have to be. I can still do something for an acquaintance. I can still do something for a colleague, a coworker, a fellow army brother, right? I don't have to say you are my friend to serve you. So I think that those designations are important. And then that means when you become my friend, there's something significant about that.
Mm.
And even more than friend, I will say you are a close friend, and that means like I will let you into these inner thoughts a bit more, and I want you to share with who I am a lot more. And then
Right.
best friends are like I would do anything for them, and I understand that they would do anything for me. That expectation isn't there, but
Yes.
it's just understood that if I needed or wanted something, they would be there to give it to me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I think that's something to really look at because sometimes, someone's like, oh, you're my friend and you're my friend. And then sometimes we have what you kind of said, unexpected expectations of these things, and not putting that forth because, well, I would do that. Or it's like, well, where do they fall in that? And where do they show up for you? And it's not necessarily a tit for tat because I think we talked to, it's never going to be 50-50,
Right.
and, if someone says a compliment, you don't have to feel like you have to give it back or someone shows up for you. What is your thought on that? Like 50-50 tit for tat or like showing up for people. Do you think it needs to be mutual or what is your thought on that?
I tit for tat doesn't work in relationships because how I show up for you is not going to look the same for how you show up to me. If we're trying to go 50-50, and I say, well, if I give you $10 and you say, well, I have to give you this $10 back, right? That equal value, I may be more financially stable than
Mhm.
you. And so you giving me $10 puts you in a bad spot. Your $10 might come in a different value, something that is more meaningful and that you're more capable of, something that's
Right,
better than you giving me $10.
right.
And that's where I feel like we can say you can say, okay, well, relationship has to be 50-50, but that doesn't mean that your 50 looks like my 50. Your 50 has to be like we talked about that authenticity. It has to be
Yes.
your
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
authentic 50 if you're going to bring 50-50. But we all know that a relationship is never 50-50. There are times where it's 90-10, and it's love, right? There's
Yeah.
this potent love, and we're talking about soulful connections. So
Yes.
love is a key component of that soulful connection to me. In love, sometimes it might start at 90-10, and you just for whatever reason a person loves significantly and is willing to go that far for you.
Right.
And I think that that's an important part of beginning a serious bond or serious connection. If you say, well, I can't give you more than 50 unless you give me 50 back, your friendship isn't going to go anywhere. And at that point, it's it's akin to like selling something, right?
Yes.
Okay, if I give you $5, you'll give me a bottled beverage, and that's not the friendship I'm looking for.
Yeah. What type of friendship are you looking for? What is, you brought up authenticity, and that's a big thing that you and I have really talked about. But, what really makes a friend for you, and showing up, and what, not that you expect, and what would you like to see from someone?
Yeah, so I'm very relational. I took Strengths Finder, and the relational strengths are the highest presenting for me.
And
So
maybe
it
you could go in, so sorry not to cut you off, but what Strength Finder is, to
oh
kind
so
of, yeah, for
yeah,
people who don't know, that would be so great.
it
Sorry to cut you off, but I just want,
no, that's good. So Clifton Strengths Finder, it's based in psychology, and there's 34 strengths. Everyone has five that are really strong. So the top five are the ones that you exhibit, and they're not supposed to change. Like those top five will always be your top five, since it's based on the psychology of when your thoughts started forming, and those strengths developed at an early age. So I love Clifton Strengths Finder because it's very specific, since there are 34 strengths. So one
mhm.
of my top ones is like relator, for example, and that means like I relate to people very well just naturally.
Yes, you do.
When I'm thank you. When I look at my friends, I need to actually relate to them.
Mm,
And if so for me, I'm kind of disinterested at times in small talk. Like if
mm.
small talk is the door, I don't want to spend a lot of time at the door.
Yes.
I need to open the door and get in there with you, and let's talk about what's real. Let's get behind that door and figure out who
Mhm.
we really are, because then that's going to allow us to connect and see who we could be in each other.
Right, definitely. I love that because, yeah, I think sometimes when we're, not necessarily forced, or you go to school, or you around your parents' friends, they're like, you need to be friends with this person, or I think you'd be good, or whatnot, and sometimes it may sound good on the paper, but once you actually start talking, you're like, oh, no, that's not compatible. And that's okay. And I think being honest, being vulnerable, and saying, maybe this isn't a good connection, and showing up truly for what you need.
Yes, yes, yes. And I feel like if you, so it's like how you're asking me, what do I want in a friendship? I think it's just as important to acknowledge what you want in a platonic relationship as what
Yeah.
you want in a romantic relationship. What kind of friends do you want to surround yourself with? Sometimes people like really funny people, and I just want to be around a bunch of silly people who
Yeah.
make me happy and whatever craziness they're spouting off. For me, I understand that I need some kind of seriousness in my connections.
Mhm.
It can't always be silly. If it's always silly, that would drive me nuts. But it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay to be honest like that, because then you're going to be a lot more satisfied in those connections that you develop.
Right. I totally agree because, maybe, how does like the deep friendship help us navigate the grief, the joy, and in the in between moments? Like maybe, you can explain a little bit more of like, talk about, do you want that friendship that you can call about grief, good, bad, and different? Where does that show up for you?
Yes. Okay. This is some serious stuff for me. I lost my mom about 3 years ago,
Mm.
and when it was my best friend group that. So I have my mom has a big family, right? She has 8 siblings, and
Wow.
they were there, right? They
Mhm.
took care of a lot, but there was nothing like having my four best friends come, and they took care of my mom's whole side of the family while we were at her bedside. They're nurses. So
Yeah.
one of them came in scrubs and said, I'm not at work today, but I'm gonna make sure your mom is taken care of. I'm gonna be with her. I'm gonna make sure this process is a smooth one for you." And even after she passed, they were right there at my side. They were calling to check on me. I had friends that actually showed up to bring my family food. Just the
Mm.
overwhelming presence of friendship during that hard time. Yeah, it was so beautiful. I couldn't have asked for more. And then my mom's friends also showed up for my family, because that's another part of it, right? My mom's friends wanted to be there for my mom's kids. So
Right.
I think that if you want this kind of friendship where people are going to show up for you in your hardest moments in life, you better be trying to get behind that door.
Yes.
You're not going to do it with like small talk, or you can have mutual interests. Like we want to talk about the game, right? Or we want to talk about the football
Right.
game that just happened, or we want to talk about politics. That's not you. That's what
Mm-mm.
you like to do.
Right.
People need to get in. People need to be able to get in there and really feel what you're feeling. And
Mhm.
there's that vulnerability that we talked about. That's so
Yeah.
crucial to this. You want to be able to be open with your friends. If you can't open up, people will not walk in. And I think that because I'm very relational and I tell my best friends know, like I feel very comfortable and confident in telling them when I'm going through something, how hard something is, and I feel like their arms are open no matter what's going on. They're like, I got you. Like I want to be here and I want to listen to you. And I try to show up for them in the same way. Now I'm not perfect, but surely if they call, they know they've got these ears. They know they've got my time in my ears when they call.
I love that, and I think you're so right. It's we need to get above the surface level because so many times it's just like, "How are you? I'm fine. I'm fine." And you know, as a friend, you're not fine. It's not okay. You know, just having that vulnerability, having that authenticity to show up and say, "You know what? We need the good, bad, and different from your dark to your light." And I love that you say that. You know, it's not just you're your friend because it's yay, we're happy and I'm doing so well. Like I want to be able to have them see all of the above. And now with that, with friendships and talking, are these friends that you've had from a young age? Are these friends encountering you're older? You know, I know we have friends from all walks of life. And have you seen differences of sometimes friends who you think you've known your whole life would be there, but someone you just met is showing up differently? You know, we had a big talk on that as well. Maybe you can expand on that.
Yeah, so just like how you talked about, I experienced a similar process where I've had people that recently walked into my life that are as important and as significant as people that I've known my whole life. I have friends from middle school that I still keep in touch with now, and we're still close. Like if they come around, they get priority and they get all the love because they've also continued to show up for me and check on me during this lifetime. So I want to honor that. Yes, the long friendships mean a lot and they're irreplaceable. But the people who have shown up for me recently, so that like the best friend group that I'm telling you about, I've probably known them maybe 8 years now, seven,
Mhm.
8 years. So
A long
they're
time.
a lot more. It's a long time, but they're a lot more recent than
Yes.
my middle school friends that have continued to show up for me throughout this life. And then the most recent people that I added to my best friends, but I have 8 people, right, that I would consider up there that are best friends right now who just they know me in and out, and they have powerfully shown up for me and powerfully connected to me. The last three that showed up are it's like mysterious to me. The bonds that we formed, I'm the ones I'm thinking of right now. I've only known for one of them. I've known for 2 years now, and
Mhm.
the other I've known for like maybe a year and a half. And they're incredible. And the way that I feel like I can rest my head on my pillow at night, knowing that I have them in my corner, it's powerful. Like there's just something about having a connection that deep, like somebody
Mhm.
who knows you in and out. Like I literally feel like I could tell them anything, and I know that they want me to succeed. They want me, they want to see me do as they want to see me well off, no matter what
Yes.
that looks like. They want
Mhm.
that for me, and you have like you have to have that in your lifetime. It's so beautiful, and it doesn't replace like romance, right? Like you still have
Yes.
your romantic partner, like
Right.
they're married, but
Yeah.
they honor me in saying like I'm deeply connected to you. And
Mhm.
honestly, like we say things, obviously love is expressed, but we say things
Yes.
like I can't imagine my life right now without you.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
it's that deep.
Yeah. And I love that, and that's I think where we connect is like that's how I feel about my friends, and that connection and that level is so important to me. You know, I love my fiance and he is my number one, but also my friends. And when we first got together, I said, you know, I will always love you. You will be my number one. However, my friends are really just super important to me as well. And that's something that I will maintain and be a part of my life. And it doesn't interfere, you know, because I still have my fabulous fiance, but at the same time, I have that connection where I have those friends like, I have my friends that I talk to every day, and I'm like, I do not know what I would do without you, like, and vice
Yeah.
versa, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's so beautiful. What I think is so beautiful between you and me, I feel like I've known you. Like, I feel like our connection was so rad because we were so on the same. I was like, how is it that we just met? Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
I feel like our energy is like maybe we met in a past life or little, things of what it is. But I just loved our connection, how we were so raw and vulnerable for meeting for the first time.
Yes, yes, agreed, agreed. When and that's I think that's because immediately, like in what we're having to do, we have a lot of the same values,
Yeah.
especially when talking about friendship, right? We
Yeah.
connect there very strongly, but also I think in having to peel back the onion already,
Right.
we didn't have a choice but to step through the door so that our podcast recording could be authentic. And
Yeah.
I again, that's like part of the key. Let's open the door. We don't need to talk about just how's the weather today and
Yeah.
right.
It's the
Let's
not superficial, but like just the surface stuff that it's like cool. Like I don't not necessarily need like that, but you both and I don't need like just a random like, hey, I like your shirt. How's the weather? Like, what's your favorite baseball team? My little voice.
yeah. Yeah, it's like and that's what I'm saying. It's okay if those are the gateway tools, if that's us approaching the door and knocking or trying to turn that doorknob, that's
Right.
fine. But open the door. Let's talk about your life goals. Let's talk about your values. Let's talk about who you are, who's your family. Let's talk about what's important to you because these are how I really get to understand you as a person. Not
Right.
that not that your favorite actor is whoever or your favorite song right now is whatever, right? Like those are great facts, but
Right.
those I'm not getting to know the core of you, and that's where I think friendship starts is at the core.
Yes, and we kind of talked about too, like language of love. It doesn't have to be for a romantic thing, but also for like in a platonic relationship, like languages like what are your languages of love that you like, or if a friend were to show up or do something for you, what really satisfies you?
Yes, and I'm glad that you brought that up again because I think that if you can discover the love languages of your platonic relationships, especially those that you really want to honor and you really want to be close to,
Right.
you want to be soulful, then you should try and discover those love languages.
Mhm.
So a lot of people think that my first love language is gift giving, and it's
Yeah.
because I'm very passionate about when I get you something, I am looking for it's got to be very specific. I got to know that you want it, but I got to know that you wouldn't have bought it for yourself.
Ooh.
And I kind of aligned with my mom. She was
Yeah.
the ultimate gift giver, right? Like her, I
Mhm.
watched her gift her friends gifts, and monetarily, it didn't matter how much it cost. She
Right.
was like, "I'm going to spend $150 because I love this other person, and it doesn't matter how they reciprocate. Like I just want them
Mhm.
to have this." And
Yeah.
not only did she spend that much money, but then also she would take an hour creating some beautiful basket because the presentation to her mattered too. And so for
Oh,
me, I follow the same suit. I saw how she gave her friends. I saw the joy it brought not only to her but to her friend, right? Something that they could share and like, oh my God, you got me this beautiful gift. So when I present those kind of gifts, people are like, your love language must be gift giving, but it's not.
yeah.
It's actually quality time. And if you discover that it's quality time, then you know, if you bring me, if you say, hey, let's hang out, and you do something like, okay, we're gonna sit here and watch the game, that's not quality time for me.
Yeah.
It right, like I probably don't even want to be in that experience really. So I think it's important, like if you want to get close to somebody, discover what makes them happy. So my
Right.
friends now, I don't know how they understand me so well. So one of my best friends is this hardcore tough infantry guy, right? He's like about that life. He's
Yeah.
this like brawny kind of guy, and I went to his house. Right, he lives across the country. I went to his house to spend some time with him and his family, and I love tea, right? So when guests come to my house, I will make some hot tea
Oh,
and we'll sip on that tea together and talk and just have a deep conversation. So this guy brings out some tea. I have not told him I enjoy this, right? But he
Yeah.
brings out this hot. He makes us both a cup of hot tea, lights the fire pit in the backyard, and it's like slightly raining. We're in Georgia. It's like slightly raining. It's a
Yeah.
little bit cold, and we sit out there in the fire pit and just talk for a few hours, just sipping on that tea. That's quality time for me. And
Oh,
it's like he read my being by
yeah.
saying,
Yes.
I'm going to give you this time. Like it meant the world to me in that moment. So I just felt so close and so connected. And that's the power of really being aware and considering your
Mhm.
friends. Like, consider what makes them go, what they like. And if you want to make them happy, do it. Go all the way on it.
Yes, I totally agree because, so many times I think when we want to gift give or do, it's what would we like? Or, sometimes it's like you're not necessarily you're thinking, oh, it's a nice the thought, but it's not necessarily not genuine, but you're not doing and showing up for them. So I love that, get deep. I love that your friend had tea for you and knowing like that was just that's such a beautiful thing because they truly do know you. In this and our friends and lessons, and we're learning things. What's maybe one of the most powerful lessons a friend has ever taught you, or a friend that has really showed up, for you and taught a lesson that you have kind of gone off of or you share with others?
Ooh, that's a hard question
Yes. Well, yeah,
because
it definitely is a
I'm
hard. So maybe I know there's parts to it, or maybe
I,
one friend that
I
maybe kind of taught something to you that you still embrace.
yeah, honestly, I think this question is so beautiful because really, I heavily believe that your close friends and best friends should be people that you openly allow to influence you.
Mhm.
These are your teachers. These are how you build yourself. We talked about how you surround yourself with who you want to be, right?
Yeah,
The people
definitely.
you spend the most time with, that's who you become. And when I think about like a lesson that a friend's taught me, like I think about uh we call Kendall, we call her Mama Kendall.
Yeah.
And that woman is just so full of grace and love, and she's not afraid to just show up in that loving way. It doesn't matter where she is. She's a nurse, right? So obviously she shows up for her patients that way. Her family, like, you could go to her house and you could see how she shows up for her husband, and even on our friendship, like everything we need.
Mhm.
Like, we call her Mama Kendall because she is just a pillar that is unmovable in that regard. We know that it's all going to be taken care of. And I think from her, what I learned is about that reciprocity, because
Mm.
there were maybe probably for a few years I was like, I
Yeah.
don't know how to uh, pay like pay her back. Like, that
Yeah,
was my
totally.
consideration is, gosh, like, I can't keep up with her.
Mhm.
Right. But it's learning to for me, she taught me, sit back and let
Mhm.
me. I'm not, again, like, I'm not doing this because I need something, I expect
Right.
something
You have any
in return.
expectations?
She's saying, I want you to be you. I want you to show up as you. And that's okay. You don't have
Mhm.
to meet me halfway. And it's just so I couldn't ever repay her for taking care of my mom, taking
Yeah.
care of, like, all of what she has given us in our friend group. Like, she's the glue that
Yeah.
keeps there's five of us, right, in a group,
Mhm.
and she's the glue that keeps the five of us running together. I don't know that we would all be as tight without her in the middle of that. So she's just really taught me that it is okay to, one, not reciprocate, and two,
Mhm.
not expect it.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. I think we have these unexpected expectations that we kind of talked about because you're my friend, because you're my mom, because you're this, they have to show up a certain way. And I think that, when we have these expectations, it doesn't open it authentically because we're expecting and kind of trying to force something that, is something that is not flowing easily.
Yes, yes. and then it becomes more fun that way when
Yes.
you start to let down all these expectations of yourself and of others. You what you do bring to the table for that other person is that much more powerful, and
Yes.
you start to have a lot more fun with it. So I know how she loves her house to be clean. I bought her a Roomba, right? I went out and I was like, I'm going to
Oh,
buy her, and not like the little cheap model, right? I went big. I
yeah.
was like, I'm gonna spend a
Yes,
thousand
you
dollars on
do.
this
Oh,
Roomba for her.
yes.
And when I go to her house and I see the vacuum lines, and she loves what it brings, it just makes me feel like, yeah, like I could never repay her 50-50. I could never
Right,
do it, but I can bring me to the table for her as best as I can. And that's why we became friends from the get-go. We didn't
right.
become friends because she had an expectation of me. We became friends
Mm.
because we found a deep connection and learned to love each other. And that, I feel like, showing up with authenticity is bringing that love and friendship to the table.
Definitely. And every time she uses, the Rumba thing, that she can think of you, which is so special. And I think you kind of talked about it earlier. We all have a piece of the puzzle. And that's what's so beautiful out of friendship. You have this, that's your lane. She has her lane of that. And then you guys have all those gifts that can combine together. Because I agree, sometimes, my language, I love to give like my love messages for people. And, I had friends,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I got it. And I'm so sorry I didn't respond back. And I said, no, it's just like an acknowledgement. I just want to know you got it. Like, you don't have to respond back. I don't have to hear. It's just more like, I just want to know that you like them, or that is good. But that's my language of love, to like show, well, not only that, but just to kind of show that. So I love that, we kind of talked about earlier, is the pieces of the puzzle. If we were all the same, that would be so boring, because then we wouldn't have anything to add to the table. So
Right, right.
yeah. So with that though, to take on the other side, sometimes we have friendships that have to end. We have friendships that we think that are going to be there. Have you ever had something, when you had to walk away from a friendship?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's hard. It's
Mhm.
heartbreaking. I think that when a friendship ends, especially a friend that is closer, i- there is a lot of heartbreak, because you're so intertwined, and
Mhm.
how you're just used to communicating with that person on a regular basis, and that person is still out there.
Mhm.
I think what's important is, I do think closure is significant, but I also think that there's power in space in saying, okay, we fell out, and at this point we no longer wish to communicate with each other. But I think leaving space there leaves the opportunity to either pick it back up, or it, I think that the closer you can get to ending a friendship with love and care, and
Mhm.
saying, I yeah, we might have ended things. It could have been on bad terms,
Yeah.
or whatever the case is, that there's still love here.
Right. Right.
And I think the closer you could be to that, is for the best. And I like how you put it, where it's understanding that sometimes there are friendships that are friendships for now. There are
Mhm.
friendships that are for a season of our
Yes.
lifetime,
Yeah.
and they're important. Like the
Mhm.
people that I no longer speak to are super important, and I wish them well.
Right.
But it's an acknowledgement that right now we're better apart. We're better in our own lanes. We're
Mhm.
better, and maybe that's growth. Maybe that's,
Yes. Yes.
you go over here and you do what you need to do. I'm gonna go over here, and I'm going to do what I need to do. So I can reflect and refine myself. And if we ever can get back together, the side of ourselves that we will present to each other
Right.
will survive the storm, instead of however it ended. Because let's be serious, like however it ended, it's usually not one-sided, right? There's
Yeah.
different perspectives, and what I don't want is, I don't want to bring anybody else down. So
Yeah.
if because that's what happens, right? Oh, well, we're in a friend group, and now me and this person aren't talking, and now the friend group gets messy. We're taking sides,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that is not me at all. I want you guys all to keep talking. I want us to
Right.
all keep talking, even though
Yes.
two of us might not be communicating. So it's saying like, okay, we just us, we're gonna go our separate
Yes.
ways. We're gonna grow and figure out where we took a wrong turn.
Mhm.
And then when we come back together, hopefully we're coming back together stronger. But
Mhm.
I also want to acknowledge that I care so much. It doesn't matter if we stopped speaking. I care
Yes.
so much that if I got the phone call and it was I need you, like I know we haven't talked
Mhm.
and things didn't end well, but I need you, I would show up.
Right.
I would show up.
Yeah, that's how I am too. I think it's hard. Yeah, because you do have friends in all walks of life and from here to there for some that you just met. And it is sometimes seasons to learn a lesson of what it is. And kind of there's two things to go with this as well. You can not have them here, you can love them from afar. You may not, talk, and that's my biggest thing is like you wish them well. You can love them from afar, but right now in your life, it doesn't like mesh in that. So with that, it kind of says also, how do our friendships like mirror our own self-worth and growth in being in all this? So I don't know, to kind of relate with that and who we choose and showing up. Sometimes we may pick someone that's mirroring something that we need to heal, mirroring something that we need to see in
Yeah.
ourselves. So I don't know if you want to expand a little bit on that of what you see sometimes in someone else. Is that a reflection of you and your growth too?
Yes. So I that's powerful because we do gravitate towards people who are like us. I think it's
Mhm.
just a lot easier for us to connect with people who we're safe with, who we feel
Yes.
comfortable with.
Mhm.
And sometimes, yeah, sometimes you're right. That can be bad because if I'm over here gossiping and negative and I find somebody else that likes to gossip and it could be primarily negative in nature,
Yeah,
then that's what our friendship is going to be built on, is that
totally.
kind of a negativity.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important. It's like we talked about. You know what you want in your friends.
Yes.
Do you want this negativity, or do you want something that's positive to help pull
Mhm.
you out of that negativity?
Right.
So I, I've I think that maybe in my younger years, like in my 20s, I probably might have had that tendency to
Mhm.
maybe gravitate towards people who had the same, maybe some of the same bad habits that I needed to
Yeah.
grow from. So now I hope I'm much more refined, but I tend to look now. So I have a totally different outlook
Yeah.
on how to find, or not how to find friends, but how to allow yourself to find friends who are not like you,
Mhm.
because you're missing out if you only go for the friends that you're comfortable with or that show up like you. You're
Yeah.
missing out on a whole world of people.
100%. Yeah.
S- I told you I'm certified in disc. I
Yes.
realized, so I looked at a lot of my friends' disc profiles, or I looked
Mhm.
at how what I thought they were. If they
Yes.
in disc is the behavioral test, right? You take it and it tells you if like how you would normally behave, right? Are you
Yes.
somebody that's like strong and dominant? Are you somebody that's like a team player, a good listener, somebody that's analytical and organized and structured? Are you somebody that's like super outgoing and friendly? Those are the four categories, and you can have a blend of those categories. So,
Right.
I looked at those and I noticed that the majority of my friends are like me. They have the
Mhm.
same pattern that I have, and I
Mhm.
was like, why am I doing that? Like,
Yeah.
and it's not that I was choosing to
Right.
always make friends like that, but that's where I was comfortable and naturally gravitated. If somebody was outside of the norm, it's either A, they were not safe
Yeah.
because like you're different than me, and I don't know how you're going to I don't know how I'm going to get along with you, and I don't know how you're going to get along with me. And then the opposite tendencies from our normal behaviors tend to drive us nuts a little bit
Yes.
at first, especially because you don't understand why. So for me, I'm a little bit more on the reserve side, and I'm that listener, team player, and then I've got the analytical, organized. But I lead with that like relational style, right?
Yes, you do.
On the opposite side, there's like the dominant. The opposite for me is you're gonna do what I tell you to do, and I'm in charge. When I walk in the room, I'm the center of attention. What I say goes, right? That's like on the opposite end,
Yeah, yeah.
which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You need people like that too. But if I came across somebody like that, in my mind, there was no way I was gonna have a friendship, right? Like
Right.
this is just subconscious thoughts that like, oh, this person, I couldn't get along with this person. So now, now when I look, I'm more on the side of what does that like how if I connected to that person, what is that person going to bring to me?
Yes,
Because they have a different perspective of life, and they have a lot more strengths that are going to balance my weaknesses, and
100%.
they probably have a lot more to teach from me. And this is what I was talking about, just inviting your friends to influence you. So it's
Yes,
like sometimes I will tell my friends, hey, I want you to give me guidance. Like, I want your
yes,
advice. I
yeah,
want your feedback. I want your perspective because it is so different from mine. And I don't have it all together. But through
yeah.
you,
Yes.
right, through you though, I get to have the full arsenal of tools.
Right.
I get to be a better me because
Yeah,
you have, and I'm willing to sit here and listen to you. My friend Tristel, she's got discipline and focus on her strengths finder.
yeah,
Mine are midway on the 34. So yeah, I could force myself to be disciplined. I'm in the army. We do discipline, but it isn't natural. It isn't as
right,
natural for me.
yes.
So I message her because I'm trying to write a book, and I'm like, man, I'm just not. I,
You're
I'm just
gonna do
not
it.
sitting there
You're
and writing this
gonna
book.
do it.
Yes, ma'am. Which is good. I need that energy too. But this is what she told me. She goes, yeah. Well, what time? She wanted everything. Well, what's your goal? When are you going to publish the book? How are you going to publish the book? How often are you writing? And what's your commitment? And she's like, are you going to do it Monday through Friday? Is it 8 a.m.? Is it 2 hours a day? And so she had me make these commitments. And lo and behold, the first day came and she said, it's 8 o'clock. Did you start writing? And like daily, she is checking in on
Right,
me. And this is the influence. Like I don't have that naturally. She does. So
right,
she is holding me to it. And if I finish this book, it's gonna be because she sat there and she pushed me through the whole thing. That
yeah,
that's the power of friendship, right? Is
yes. Having the accountability, having someone show up and being vulnerable and saying, "This is what I need from you. Can you show up that way?" And yes.
yes, and
Yeah,
having her be so good at that, and
right.
and she's going to be the reason that I get to stand tall on that book.
And because of you, of what you have and your skills and your ability. So remember that too, that you're very powerful. It takes
Absolutely.
you in that. And I just see so much like we're going to have to wrap up, but this has been such an amazing thing. I'm so just, my heart is so happy that our paths cross and I see beautiful things for us. Worse, is there one little nugget, one little last thing that you could just, if you want to share, we have literally a few seconds left. What is a little nugget that you want to leave with
A
us?
nugget for me is go for the people who are different from you. Don't just be comfortable. Get out there and know different people. There's a whole world of people out there waiting for you.
Perfect. All right, everybody. Thank you for showing up. I'm Elena with your Health Vibes with Elena. Joining me bi-weekly, 12 p.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific time. Begin raising your vibrations, heart, body, mind, and soul. And you can reach me at ef11ca at gmail.com or yourhealthvibes.com. Thank you for being here. We are on this amazing new streaming network, home of Going Solo, Going Bold, and WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. Welcome to Your Health Vibes with Elena. I love you all, and please check Morris out if you need anything. And really fast, he's going to be performing. Where are you performing so people can check you out?
I'm performing at the Segerstrom in Santa Ana, Orange County, California. That'll be May 8th.
All right. If you want to come see him because he's going to be amazing, check them all out. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I love you all, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.